Hey everybody, welcome back to 13 Rings and NFC East podcast. I'm your host Lucas with Mal, Maurice, and Earl, and special guest C Webb is back from Giants Dad's podcast. C Webb, welcome back, and it's the perfect pod for you to come back on because guess what we're talking about tonight?
New York Giants football.
Exactly. So I'm going to let you and Mal break it down, okay?
Fantastic. Happy to be back.
Welcome back.
Awesome. Welcome back, C-Web. So let's give a little off-season evaluation for the Giants. I think there's been quite a few things that have gone on. And I'm just going to start by saying Hard Knocks off-season with the Giants, first ever, premieres July 2nd. We are getting so close, guys, and I am super excited. Just wanted to say that.
I think I saw a teaser trailer.
Running on a high, guys, because I actually drove up to the Giants 100 night with the legends, with Bob Pappas and everyone. And
yeah, you did. Give us a little brief description of that, C-Web. I want to hear about that a little bit.
That really kind of wound my enthusiasm up for this season, and kind of seeing John Mara kind of talk about his relationship with his father and the team getting bought by the Maras, and then the Tishes getting involved, and kind of talking about the organization, how they've always had consistent leadership through the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and LT, Harry Carson, Carl Banks, and Pepper Johnson. Then you kind of transition to Michael Strahan, Tiki Barber, and Jason Sehorn. They talked about all these great leaders, and the one consistent was players always developing throughout the organization. And yes, there definitely was a Giant way of how they did things, but it ended up being all about the team and the team winning football games. You also had Bill Parcells and Tom Coughlin come back and talk about their challenges and great memories of coaching, both having 2 Super Bowls. And there was just, I would say, about 5,000 people and just so much enthusiasm within that room. Brandon London emceed it and was able to go around and kind of take stories from old and young Giants fans. So I had a blast and can't wait for the season.
Nah, C-Web, that's amazing. I'm so glad you got to experience something like that. I'm really glad you brought up leadership, because the first point of our offseason evaluation is going to be grading the leadership for the Giants. So John Mara, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, basically how they did this offseason. And, last year, things, kind of had a falling out with Wink Martindale, and people were questioning Brian Dable. So I think this offseason, Joe Shane and Brian Dable kind of ignored the noise, and they did what they needed to do, what was best for the franchise. And I think one thing that stuck out from the trailer of Hard Knocks so far was that Brian Dable was like, we're not done building. We're still looking for pieces. And yeah, he's in year 3. Same with Joe Shane, but I'm kind of on board with the trust the process. I think that the two of them are really doing well in what they want. They have made some really tough decisions for the team. And in my honest opinion, for the offseason, I'm giving Joe Shane and Brian Dable a A-, only because we haven't seen any results on the field yet. And you guys know, and we've had this conversation, Lucas, Earl, and Maurice, about John Mara and his leadership with the team. And I always respect him. I always love him. I think that his family legacy is great, but he meddles too much in what we're trying to do. So, C-Web, what would you give the Giants leadership for the offseason?
Looking back on this offseason, I really think they did a great job. I think there's a lot of things kind of involved with the processes when you look at free agency, you look at the draft, you look at the assets that they had and the decisions they had to make, whether that was to give away assets or try and gain back and trade back to get more assets. I really don't think John Mara meddles, or like, he is the face of he's the owner of the team. Mm-hmm. And he obviously has to sign off on everything to get done, but I truly think that he's always going to let his people make decisions. And the reason I say that, because a lot of and this isn't you, this is just Giants Twitter, or like a lot of kind of dark areas of our fan base that just can't process or think.
I hear you.
The Giants now are doing a lot of things that they've never done. Hard Knocks, exposing the organization.
Yep.
you have Brandon London who MCs games. Like the Giants have never done a lot of those things.
Yep.
And for us to be on Hard Knocks right now and them to be inside the Giants way and in the building actually filming, that's a step in the right direction. So if John Mara truly wanted to be in control, he wouldn't let anybody look at the franchise. They wouldn't be filming right now. They wouldn't have a DJ in the stadium. Like we've never had cheerleaders.
And you're so right, especially with the fact of I think that John Mara took a step back. I think prior he had a little more into like what was going on, but when Saquon walked, I think any type of John Mara meddling this season went out the window. That's just my honest opinion.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say I'd give them a B+.
Well, let me just think? Well, I'll go first here with the leadership. You guys got rid of Wink, which seemed to be a thorn in y'all's side. It's interesting that it seems like Dable's going to take over the play calling now by looks of it. But correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the direction it seems to be leaning. So I'll give you guys, in terms of leadership, I'm going to give you guys like a solid B. I don't think that's out of whack there. B sounds good to me.
Okay. Earl, Maurice?
I give you guys a B, between a B and a B+. I
Okay.
think with making sure that you guys are just knowing what's at stake and just making sure they're not in each other's way. I think that is definitely key to just trying to have a fruitful and healthy relationship with trying to get the organization where it needs to be.
Yeah, from a leadership standpoint, Giants have always had good stability. I think Dable's the right coach for you guys. So, yeah, I give it a B as well. Management, ownership, coaches, it's not a problem for the Giants.
I guess the one thing that you got to think about is you said it right there, Marie, stability within ownership and front office. And when you have those two things hand in hand, that's usually what causes organizations to skyrocket and be successful, or kind of flame out and burn consistently if you don't have that consistency within the manager and owner.
Yeah, consistency is definitely key. But let's move into free agency, C-Web, because I think that we had a lot of interesting moves go on there. Free agency started off with a bang, really, for the Giants. We had people moving in, we had people moving out. One thing that a lot of people really commented on and wanted addressed was the offensive line, and I think we got some nice pieces there. We signed guard John Runyon, who was a respectable signing from the Green Bay Packers. He had a pretty good last season, as well as Jermaine Illuminor from the Raiders, who comes over with O-line coach Carmen Brasillo. So I think that hopefully we can kind of get something going on there. I hear that the Giants want to move him to left guard, which is an interesting concept, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. Another huge free agency signing. What was that?
Aaron Stinney from the Bucks, another guard.
Yes. Yep. I forgot about him. That's a great point. Another big signing we had was Devin Singletary from the Texans, who's coming off a career year after losing Saquon Barkley in free agency. So that was something that we definitely needed to address as well. And then, of course, the big Brian Burns trade, which completely changes our defensive line. So my question to you is, what would you grade our free agency, and any other points you have that I may have missed in that little segment there?
Yeah, I really think when you look at the front office, Joe Schoen and Brandon Brown, when they evaluated guys from when they first got here to now, I think you can really say Joe Schoen kind of learned his lesson. And instead of saying, I'm going to go draft younger linemen, he said, I'm going to go find linemen that are competent and get the job done and pay for veteran presence within the offensive line. Because if you think about it, in his first year, he drafted Josh Azudu, Marcus McKeithen within the second and third round.
And both struggled.
Both struggled and had a lot of injury issues over the years. They have Josh Azudu right now floating between guard and right tackle. And I don't know if it's a confidence thing or was it just coaching in the past? I think it's a little bit of both, but the biggest portion of being a GM is being able to identify talent, but then also have your coaching staff being able to develop that same talent. So the fact that, especially within offensive linemen and defensive linemen, if you cannot develop that talent, you're going to be in silo year in, year out.
Right.
Because if you notice, when it comes to free agency, offensive linemen don't normally hit the market. They get re-signed every time until they get older, and then that's when they get let go.
Right, like the Jets are doing.
Correct.
So, like, I see what the whole thing that Joe Shane had done. So, in my honest opinion, I'm giving the free agency a B+. I think that we address quite a few needs, especially with Saquon leaving, with Devin Singletary. Yeah, he's a little older, but we're going by a running back by committee, what it seems like right now.
If the offensive line play is better, the running game wouldn't.
Exactly.
The production should still be there.
Exactly. So that's why I'm giving it a B+. Guys, what do you think?
I'll go first this time. You guys really dedicated a lot of your resources on the defensive line, because Brian Burns, I thought it was the best singular move in the division this offseason. I really thought that was good. You fortified your D-line. Still got some work to do on the offensive line, but the D-line is going to be a terror for each and every team this season if they stay healthy. And I give it a B+.
Lucas, Earl?
I give it a B+ as well. I really like that Brian Burns trade, as well as locking him up. That was something really key that you guys needed to do, especially to upgrade your defensive line. And Brian Burns is a phenomenal player, so being able to pair him up with Kayvon Thibodeaux will really help the defensive line at its best, and interchangeable pieces too. But overall, I think you guys had a solid free agency, and B+ is where it's at.
Yeah, like, we always say, C-Web, football is one of the trenches, and in order for Daniel Jones to succeed, we have to improve that O-line, and the D-line also needed to improve in some way, shape, or form because of Azeez Ojulari's injury history. So I agree with that, Earl. Lucas, what do you got?
So, two things. One, we all know is Tommy DeVito is going to be the one that succeeds behind your offensive line.
Oh my God, you gotta let it go, Lucas. You gotta let it go.
I will never let it go. But on a serious note,
grab a mozzarella stick.
Okay.
It ain't easy being cheesy.
All right, guys. All right. So, I kind of wish that I could give you like 2-part grade, because like part of me wants to grade last offseason along with this one, because last offseason was the one that you guys should have paid Saquon Barkley, and you couldn't. And I really wish that you guys did, because then this offseason would have been.
We couldn't? Can you define that?
Okay, rephrase. You wouldn't. You guys decided not to sign Saquon to an extension last offseason, and you didn't, and you let him walk this offseason to a divisional rival.
Okay, can I just butt it for 1 second? Just for 1 second, okay. Can I just? All right. We offered Saquon a fair contract last year. He declined it.
We offered him.
He thought he could get more.
Multiple times.
He thought he could get more, and I don't blame him.
And he did.
No, he didn't. We offered him $13 million almost.
And he got 50. What is it, Maurice? What number
12.
And guaranteed, but incentives, I think it's close to 16,
the difference was the guaranteed money. And what happened last year was Saquon didn't take what he was offered from us. And
he was trying to bet on himself, thinking the running back market would get paid more.
I won't blame him for what he did, because we weren't going to give him that this year. And I don't blame the Eagles for doing it. They're a team who's close to contending, and they needed help in the running back room. And Saquon is clearly an explosive and good back. I don't blame them for 1 second. But the whole narrative that we didn't try and give Saquon what he wanted, I'm ending that right now.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, fair enough. Mm-hmm. That being said, you lost one of the top 10 top 5 running back in the NFL. That has to count against you, just like it counted against Maurice when what's his face, Jason Kelsey retired.
That's fine.
So I'm gonna include that in your grade. I'm gonna give you guys, and you didn't do too much to. I mean, Devin Singletary, come on, like.
Dude, he literally had a career year last year with the Texans.
Lucas, can you speak on the free agency signings within the offensive line and Brian?
Offensive line? No. I mean the offensive line. I mean everybody else has already said. I don't need to reiterate it that much. That those get you good grades. I'm not gonna go into too much there. But I'm nobody really focused on this part. So that's why I'm really looking at here when I'm thinking about my grade. That being said, I think,
that's fair. You had to address it. I was waiting for someone to bring it up.
Yeah. So with that in mind, because like Devin Singletary, even having a career year, was what, like a top 25 running back, maybe? Like, was it like, yes, career year, but like he was a career second H back for most of his career, and he only got the mileage he did in Houston because Pierce fizzled out. So I'm going to give you guys, and I feel like I'm being too generous here, but I don't want to feel like a hater either. I'm going to give you guys like a B minus here, just because Saquon is like, you lost him, and not only did you lose him, you lost him to a divisional rival.
He will learn, trust me, that we do not forget and we do not forgive. Just saying.
Well, you know who does forgive? The Pope, and he got to meet Tommy DeVito's agent this past week. So.
I literally can't. I saw that before, and I immediately thought of you.
So, just just thinking about forgiveness there. Anyway,
I love that, but yes. Anyway, let's move on to the draft, because some big things happened in the draft, and number 6, Malik Neighbors. Everyone's comparing him to be as explosive as OBJ, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I know the similarities between both of them going to LSU, and Malik Neighbors is kind of a beast. So this is Daniel Jones's year to really prove it and kind of go from there. We got a nice tight end from Penn State, Theo Johnson. Darren Waller retires, is what it is. Kind of figured with everything he had going on. We got a great corner. We got the number 1 safety in the draft, Tyler Nubin, trying to kind of recover there from losing Xavier McKinney. So I'm giving the Giants a draft grade of a B+. I think that we could have probably done a little more on the offensive line to kind of build that. But like C. Webb said, Joe Shane kind of switched gears and realized that going younger wasn't working. I don't know if that was the O-line coach or just maybe we needed to pivot completely. But I like the Giants draft. We needed a wide receiver 1. We needed a safety. We needed a CB2. Hopefully Andrew Phillips is it. If not, I like the development with Cordell Flott. C-Webb, what do you think?
I'd give us a B-. The one thing I'd like to have seen, if possible, is us trading back to gain more assets. This was a pretty deep draft, and
that's fair.
If you could have traded back anywhere to gain more assets, that's the one thing I would have liked to see them do.
I think I'm actually going to veer more on the side of a B because I didn't even think of that. You're right. Guys, what do you think?
How about Earl? Yeah, I was about to say, Earl, you go first this time.
I'm going to give you guys a solid B. I like what y'all did in the draft, as well as adding running back Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think he'll be a good little compliment between him and Singletary, especially in the running back room. Y'all got the top safety in the draft, Tyler Nubin. He's a solid player. Malik Neighbors, solid receiver. Andrew Phillips, Kentucky, solid. And Theo Johnson, solid. I think overall you just got to see how each guy will fall in place for your team. But overall, y'all definitely added some key guys that could help bolster your team. So kudos.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off here. I forgot about losing Xavier McKinney in free agency. Yeah, that's a B-. Yeah, that's a B-. Now getting to the draft. Yeah, I mean, you guys I don't think you guys addressed needs. You guys didn't seem like you guys reached on anybody. You got, like you said, best safety in the draft. You guys arguably got the best wide receiver, depending on how you view Marvin Harrison. That's a debate for another day. But I'll give you guys, actually, you know what? Draft wise, I'm gonna give you guys an A-. I'm gonna give you guys an A-. I feel good about that.
Lucas, yes, I love that.
And actually, the undrafted free agent part is where I'm really gonna hit home on that, because I think you're gonna like the grade for that even better, despite not
Fair.
getting Sam Hartman.
Oh, don't even remind me. Maurice, what are your thoughts?
I give it an A- as well. I mean, it really came down to, and I know for a lot of Giants fans, it was either QB or receiver, and
QB or bust.
Yeah, but for you guys, you made the right decision, especially who was on the board at the time. So Neighbors is going to be, in my opinion, I think he's going to be a star receiver. He's going to be that number one that you guys desperately need. I give it an A- for that and the other solid draft picks as well.
And for all the people that want to have that conversation saying the Giants had to take a quarterback, I think the biggest thing that you have to evaluate when this front office was looking at the draft was quarterback they currently have is comparable when protected, plus Malik Neighbors, versus going with a new quarterback, known Malik Neighbors. And yeah, I just think Daniel Jones plus Malik Neighbors versus rookie quarterback, no Malik Neighbors, it was a non-negotiable.
Nah, and also at the time when we were drafting, there were two quarterbacks on the board that were unproven. And look, the Vikings are thinking about starting Sam Darnold week 1. I don't know how true that is over J.J. McCarthy, but I even told the guys this, C-Web, if we drafted J.J. McCarthy at 6, I was probably going to I don't even know what I was going to do. I probably would have reacted in a way that was so unhinged. And I'm not an unhinged person. Y'all know this. But I would have been highly upset too. And Michael Penix has his injury history. I'm shocked that the both of them went as high as they did. But regardless, I think we made the right choice with Neighbors. We needed a wide receiver one, so I love that. But let's head to undrafted free agency, C-Web, and I want you to lead this one. What do you grade the Giants in their undrafted free agent moves?
To be honest, I think we did a so-so job within undrafted free agents. Looking back on it, so we ended up taking 8 undrafted free agents. I really like Alex Johnson from UCLA. He's very physical. His footwork's very good. Marcellus Johnson isn't bad as well. He's a tackle that has very good quickness off the line of scrimmage. And then the D-line Casey Rogers from Oregon. Watching his tape, he was just all over the field, good tenacity. I think those 3 guys could come in and make a good impact.
Nah, and I hear you. And listen, undrafted free agency is always a hit or a miss. These guys, most of them won't make the roster. You never know. It's very few and far between that the undrafted free agents actually come in and make an impact. But one person that really resonates with me, who is considered an undrafted free agent, Dante Miller, running back. What do you think of him? I kind of like him a lot.
They call him Little Turbo. I'm really to see him, and just again, based if the offensive line takes that jump, I think we're going to be very excited about this running back room. As many people want to talk about the names of Devin Singletary and the name on the back of the jersey, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about production as a unit. Us as Giants fans know the power of production when we had Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw, and even Thunder and Lightning with Ron Dane and Tiki Barber.
Yeah, so speaking of that, C-Web, I just wanted to let you know that Earl and I have a little bet about the production of both Dallas's and the Giants.
Blooper.
Literally, oh my God. We have a little bet going on, and it's pretty funny. So basically, if the Giants running back room by committee has more production than the Cowboys running back room, Earl has to pick a Funko Pop of a Giants player and go on social media and talk about how great they are and how much he appreciates them as a player. If the Giants running back room has less production than the Dallas running back room, I have to get a Ezekiel Elliott Funko Pop, and I have to talk about him and how great he is. So I have some confidence in our running back room. I'm just saying.
I do too. The one undrafted free agent I'm really excited about is somebody that was brought on the year before and he got injured, Bryce Ford Wheaton.
Yes.
Oh, here we go.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think he'll make some
Mountaineers.
noise this year. And ultimately, unfortunately, he'll push out Isaiah Hodgins.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's okay for you guys. Look, I'm going to go first here.
Yeah, go ahead.
First off, that what's the name of that running back again?
Dante Miller.
Yeah, I've seen some highlights. I'm down with them too. And if we're gonna count Bryce Ford Wheaton, then that actually bumps up your grade even more. Because it was going to be already like an A- because of Miller. But if we're counting Bryce Ford Wheaton, it's an A+.
Lucas loves Bryce Ford Wheaton.
You don't understand. I watched that guy at West Virginia for a long.
Oh yeah, no. Thank you. You took Sam Hartman from me. So
The kid play. He had no quarterback.
Yeah, and he still put up numbers.
Correct.
Yeah, that was a solid pickup. Like I mentioned with Gabe Hall during the when I did my offseason review for the Eagles. Anytime you can pick up a guy off the street, an undrafted free agent, and they can make the team and actually produce in the rotation, it's always going to be a good pickup.
Yeah, and Bryce Ford Wheaton, we're going to count him as a rookie this year because he got that injury red shirt. We're going to count that. So, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. A+ because of Bryce Ford Wheaton and Dante Miller. There you go.
Earl?
I'll give you guys an A-. Like, I like Little Turbo. One player that I caught an eye on was John Giles. Back in this past season, he had 40 receptions, 627 yards, 9 touchdowns. He posted a pair of 100-yard receiving games. He's a big upsized receiver at 6'3", 219. He's got reasonable speed for his size. In the 40, he ran a 4.57. I like with the receivers that you guys have where you got Neighbors, who's number one, and then Giles could get his name in the hat, especially in the running back depth. Wide receiver depth, sorry. And be able to be either a 2 or a 3 at receiver. It'll give Daniel Jones range to get the ball out, as well as having a big target at 6'3" with Giles. But overall, I do like when teams go after the undrafted free agent guys because they actually get gems and diamonds in the rough with whichever guy that they would get. So, yeah, I would give you guys an A- on just the pickups that y'all have, and I do like, as they call him, Little Turbo. I like this tape.
Yeah, I didn't give it a grade. I give it an A because if you just consider Wheaton a rookie, him with Neighbors and Hyatt is going to be your 3 main receivers this season.
Hold up.
What about Darius Slayton though?
Hold up. You think Bryce Ford Wheaton's going to be a top 3? Maurice, you might be replaced as best friend. No, I'm joking.
Lucas and Maurice just became best friends.
I'm joking, Earl. I'm joking. But Maurice, you're up there now.
Wait, but you still we went from Slayton possibly retiring to being like the second best receiver on the team.
When was Slayton gonna retire? What are you talking about?
There was
No. Contract dispute. It's a contract dispute.
Okay, so he never contemplated retirement.
Not that I know of.
Okay, I'm mistaken. Sorry about that.
No, you fine. I'm just messing with you, Maurice.
Okay.
But yeah, so let's move on to the best move for the Giants this offseason, guys. So in my honest opinion, I think that the best move, and you guys mentioned this earlier, trading for Brian Burns. That was just something different that we really needed on the defensive line, especially because of Azeez Ojulari's injury history. We needed someone to complement Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau, and I think we really did it there. We gave up a little bit, but at this point, the Giants needed to make a move, and we did. C-Webb, what's your best move?
I'll go with the other side with Malik Neighbors finally having a dynamic receiver that can really spread out and open up this offense and win at every point and win quickly is going to completely transform this offense. And I know a lot of this fan base keeps saying, who's going to throw to them? It doesn't matter when you have weapons like that. They win, and they completely change the dynamic of your offense. You can't play 9 guys at the line of scrimmage and shut down the run. You gotta drop guys back in the box to cover Malik Neighbors. So I'm really excited to see kind of how that all comes to fruition and really see Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he's gonna have a great year this season. I won't be surprised if he's close to 1,000 yards.
Nah, you're right. Wan'Dale he's a special receiver. I'm excited to see him do his thing too. Guys, what do you think the best move was?
I'll go. I think the best move that the Giants made was getting rid of Wink Martindale. I think
Bang.
Ooh.
I love that.
I think being
love
able
that.
to
Spicy take. I like it.
Love that.
being able to have your offensive coordinator as well as defensive coordinator, basically Dable's going to be calling plays on offense, but you really needed to be co-signed in unison with your defense to find the common balance to be able to see like, okay, what you guys need to do and so on will help us. And then what you guys do will be able to help y'all. So it's basically a team dynamic duo that would be able to help. It was too much it's too much conflict with both of them, and I think that really just kind of hurt the progression on what talent y'all have. So with Martindale out, you have someone else that can be plugged in, but you also got rid of that headache when you needed to.
Yeah, for real. When things aren't working, you got to let them go. And when there's bad blood, for sure. Lucas, Maurice, what do you guys think?
I'll go. For me, I think the best move, and we haven't talked about it yet, was Brian Dable taking over the offensive play calling. I think this is going to be an upgrade. No matter who the quarterback is going to be, I think going from Kafka to Dable is really going to, open things up with the playbook. And, talent-wise, Giants doesn't have a lot of talent on the offensive side so far. Not yet this season, but anything. If Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback, you have to give him every opportunity to be successful, and I think Dable just does that. Simply put, that's all.
No, you're right. And also, like, they've been talking about Daniel Jones throwing down the field more. I mean, we've been hearing it for years, but I hope it actually happens, because he needs to start taking shots. And C-Webb, I don't know if you agree with me or not. I do believe in Daniel Jones. I want him to be good, but he just hasn't been given the opportunity to. These checkdowns, these short passes, we gotta try something different. So I agree with you, Maurice. Lucas, what do you got?
I'm going to agree with C-Webb on here. It's getting the best player that you can, and that was clearly Malik Neighbors. You haven't had a dynamic receiver since Odell. It's been about 10 years since you drafted him. You guys needed something. Even if you had a better offensive line, this young core of receivers in Slayton wasn't going to get it done for you guys at this point. Not with Daniel Jones. Now you have a dynamic receiver in a pass-heavy league now. So I think it's Malik Neighbors, and I don't think that it's close. Though I do like the spicy takes of getting rid of Wink Martindale. That was a good one. I like that one, Earl.
Yeah, no, for sure. And now let's move into the worst move that the Giants made. So I don't really know if they made a terribly bad move. I guess the worst move that they would have made was letting Saquon walk, but I also necessarily don't really agree with it.
Not trading back, I would say.
I would say also that we didn't get more assets in the draft. That's probably like my biggest thing. So what do you guys think on that? C-Webb, why don't you go first?
That was mine, is not trading back in the draft. I just really think with the amount of holes on the team and not being able to the amount of holes on the team and not being able to gain more assets to draft more guys in a very loaded draft class. I think that's going to be something that may bite them in the butt.
For me, I would just say not adding more to the offensive line. I mentioned that earlier. There's been a lot of talk of where Evan Neal's going to play. And correct me if I'm wrong, he's going to play right guard, correct?
No, he's playing right tackle. We moved our right guard, Jermaine Illuminor, that we signed from Vegas to left guard so that Neal could play right tackle.
So Mal, not the last time, but the time before when you weren't on the pod and was just the three of us, we covered the Giants for you. And at the time, they had not made that move yet.
Yeah, so if they had made that, what was that, C-Web, like a week or two ago?
No. I'm not talking about the one where Dan covered for you. I'm talking about the one where it was just me,
No, I know. I'm saying when they made the choice to move Jermaine Illuminor to left guard. I think that was only like 2 weeks ago, right?
Just recently, yeah.
Yeah, it was very recent.
So how do you guys feel about that?
I'll let C-Web go first.
I have faith in Brasillo. Let's see it all come together first. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the expert over the experts.
No, I'm the same way. I don't think I can really make a choice because listen, Illuminor just came to the team this year and he seems really ready to go. So I'm cool with him doing whatever, and I'm trying to trust this new O-line coach. I just hope that Evan Neal can learn. It's been almost 4 years now. So gotta get it going.
I honestly believe Illuminor should have been the right tackle and then kick Neal in at right guard.
I think Neal would have been a great right guard.
I think it would teach him a lesson, but also he'll be able to get his frustrations out doing more at guard. But at the same time, it's been a couple of years now, and if he hasn't fully understood the tackle spot,
he's also been injured consistently, unfortunately.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So with him, instead of barking back at the fans, he needs to focus on what he needs to do out on the field. And I would have thought putting him at guard would just at least kind of get him in the right direction.
Yeah, no, with Neal, I found when you guys said teach him a lesson, I thought of that SpongeBob clip where it was just like, how many times do we need to teach you, old man? That's what came to my mind. If you watch,
but he's young.
Yeah, I know, but it still applies. It's funny. Anyway, my point being is that you know what? He's a young player. Maybe he has time. Maybe this will be a learning experience for him. We'll see. Do you mind if I go ahead and tell my not favorite, least favorite move here?
Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say for me, I bet you all are expecting me to say Saquon. No, it's not. I'm going to say it was not getting. I'm still debating it in my head right now because part of me wants to say not drafting a quarterback in the later rounds.
Say it with your chest.
But then the other part of me is why didn't we draft? I know the undrafted rookie guy, he's going to be good, but why didn't you draft a running back either? So
we did though.
You did? Who?
Tyrone Tracy
Jr.
Oh yeah.
It just wasn't as soon as anyone wanted, and I don't think. And like C. Webb said, we had so many holes.
Yeah.
Especially on the defense.
Well, then I'll go with quarterback. Why didn't you all draft a quarterback? That's what I want to say. That's what I like. Because look, if Daniel Jones is probably not going to be there next year, can we all agree on that? Probably not. I mean, I know C. Webb, that's your guy, but
I don't know at this point. I don't know.
And
I don't know.
It seems like the organization's out on Tommy Cutlets, which I think is a mistake, but whatever. And then Drew Lock is just there as a quality backup. We know that Drew Lock's not going to be a starter. So why not take a flyer on a guy like that Milton kid from Tennessee with the arm? Ooh, that
Joe Milton.
Yeah. The guy from Tennessee. Yeah, You could have.
Yeah,
Well,
he's got
year.
so
he's got an arm.
I think that it all stems from Giants leadership in the fact that, like, listen, they paid Daniel Jones all this money, and listen, he may or may not be the guy after year 6. Probably not, whatever. The Giants are an organization that is able to, if need be, like, no offense, Earl, and C-Web might not like this, but, like, if y'all don't pay Dak, we would probably be in on that next
Yeah,
year.
you would. Yeah, you would.
Like, we don't listen. The whole drafting a quarterback for the Giants thing, we don't do it very often unless, like, someone is gone and ready to retire. Look at Eli. That was the only reason that we drafted Daniel Jones. We're not looking, and quarterback for Brian Dable is a buildable position. But if there was a free agent, sorry guys, if there was a
egotistically, I think Brian Dable thinks he can groom any quarterback.
Right.
Yeah, that might be a flaw of his there.
Yeah, and so, like, I think that in the end, especially, like, going forward, if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, I don't think we'll go the route of drafting one. I think we'll go the route of signing one.
Okay, well, we'll see. But let's wrap this up.
Let's move on. So the most underrated move for me was hiring Carmen Brasillo and firing Bobby Johnson. I don't think people talk about that enough. Our offensive line was one of the worst ranked in the league. I think most can agree with me on that. Let me know if you think different.
I would say your most underrated move was getting that undrafted rookie running back.
Fair.
Yeah. That's all. I've already talked about it. I'm not going to get into detail about it again.
I hear you. Anyone got anything different?
I'm good.
I got something. Let's see. I don't know. It probably would say best move, but I think having Dable finally call the plays, I think
that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that should have been kind of from the jump from what they hopefully took a look at in Buffalo when he was there. I really think him being able to help assist with fixing Josh Allen, especially with how bad Allen was at the time, to just kind of get him where he needed to be. I think he's one of those that he's going to try to maximize as much as he can out of a quarterback. So I'm going to be nice today. I think he's going to try to get Daniel Jones to be his very best. And if that means getting him to be able to launch the ball down the field to kind of build on his confidence, I think that'll really help you guys in the right direction, especially with the receiving core that on paper, got to see it in real time, but to see what might be there, because I believe something is there. You just got to get the quarterback in his confidence, but that's also assuring the offensive line and protecting them. So, yeah, I think Dable calling the plays is definitely an underrated move that should have actually happened when he first got there.
The most underrated move is your best move, and that's not drafting a quarterback.
I like that.
In the first round. That was the right move, underrated or whatever you want to call it, but you got to stick with the guy you paid and you've invested time and money into, and that's Daniel Jones. Now, I did say earlier during the offseason that Daniel Jones, they didn't bring Daniel Jones in just to be a permanent backup. I think it could be a competition at training camp.
You mean Drew Lock?
Drew Lock. Yeah, excuse me, Drew Lock.
Yeah.
I think it could be a competition during training camp. That's just my opinion.
Maybe. We'll see. So let's wrap this up now. What's final grades?
So my final grade for the Giants offseason is a B+. I think that they addressed a bunch of needs. I think that they made the right moves, made the right decisions, and I'm really excited to see the Hard Knocks episode to see what really all went into it. What do you guys think?
I'm going to give them an A-. I think they did a great job. Outside of being able to trade back within the draft, they were able to fill holes within free agency, major holes within the offensive and defensive line. Made a big bang to get a young, transcending pass rusher. It's only going to get better. The question is, what does the production from that offensive line yield this year? what does that defensive line yield? Not just sacks and pressures. How does the run defense finally look? Because that's one area when we played the better upper echelon teams, we couldn't stop the run to save our lives. So, yes, it's great to say we got Brian Burns, but can we stop the run? It's great to see a wide receiver at 6 and that dynamic playmaker. How does that change the dynamic of this offense? And no, not just Daniel Jones, but how does that truly change all the other pieces? How does that help the offensive line? How does that help the other receivers getting open? How does that help the play calling that Brian Dable can call? What does that truly do for this offense? I think we're in for a good one and going to be excited. So I think we're in the right direction, Mal. In the right direction. I'm still trusting the process.
We're coming around, man. It'll happen. I'm with you.
It's a team game, and every turn the GM has said it, he's kind of showed you his hand of cards and what he's going to do, and he does it. Just unfortunately, some of our fan base doesn't want that to happen. So whatever.
Overall, I give you guys a B. You're going in the positive direction. I will say that.
I'll say B+. B+.
I'm gonna go B+. Y'all are definitely trusting the process and trying to go in the right direction, removing headaches, and we just gotta see how it goes. B+ it is.
Yeah, I want to thank y'all for listening to our analysis tonight about the Giants. C Webb, thank you for joining us on that. Now, let's head into the NFC East team news, Earl, and we'll go from there.
Yes, NFC East team news, and we're actually going to kick it back to you, Mal. Do y'all have any team news?
Yeah, so the only one I really got is Hard Knocks starts July 2nd. Everyone tune in. I think that'll be really fun for the first off-season on Hard Knocks. And also Jermaine Illuminor moving to left guard. I really think that's the only thing we got. C-Webb, you got anything to add?
The practice schedule for the Giants did release. We start on the 24th, 10 a.m. and go all the way till August 6th. So that'll be exciting.
Right.
There you go.
Excited to get up to practice.
All righty. Lucas, do you have any team news dealing with the Commanders?
Only that when Brandon Ayuk went on ESPN's podcast hosted by Ryan Clark, I don't know the name of the podcast, but I know it's an ESPN podcast. Ryan Clark reported that he was not alone. He was with Commanders quarterback Jaden Daniels, which only feeds the fire of a possible trade to DC. I personally would love that. We will have to wait and see if that actually happens. But it seems as if Ayuk is trying to make his way to DC.
All righty. Maurice, do you have any team news dealing with the Eagles?
Not much on the Eagles front, but it's interesting. I saw and this is a report or a rumor, that the Eagles are still interested in Justin Simmons, who for some reason is still a free agent. I don't know why, but they have interest, or reportedly have interest in maybe signing Justin Simmons.
Simmons is the guy from Denver. Is he the one that does all the dirty hits, or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, that's Kareem Jackson. I think it's.
Okay, yeah, no. Kareem Jackson can go kick rocks. He should not be playing in the NFL anymore.
I agree totally.
Yeah, I don't know why he's still a free agent.
In other team news for the Giants, they have released their Century Red jerseys, so make sure you guys go pick up yours tomorrow.
I know Becca wants one.
Yeah.
Becca, yes.
Becca's going to get that number 8 for Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a gimme.
There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, whose jersey are you guys going to get? That's a good question.
I ordered an Andrew Thomas jersey.
Okay. What about
I'm
you,
getting
Matt?
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Okay. Solid. Just out of curiosity, are these more expensive than the regular jerseys, or are they about the same price?
Mine was $179.
Yeah, they're about the same.
Okay, well that's good. All right, sorry. Continue. Maurice, anything else?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, just that the Eagles are looking at Justin Simmons, and I don't know if we really need him, but hey, the more the merrier.
I mean, a veteran
money
in the secondary, so you
yeah,
need
another
that.
vet. Yeah, another vet, and at this point, his price is going to be kind of low. So whatever. I mean, if you bring him in, you bring him in. The more the merrier. We got the money, so.
All right. Thanks, Maurice. I'll lean towards the Dallas Cowboy team news. I know some of y'all may have heard Mike McCarthy is fed up with Jerry Jones. That's nothing new.
So that is a real report?
Maybe, but I think it was already issued out. There's a situation where I heard this cool title dealing with nobody wins when the family feuds. And I believe with what Mike McCarthy had to deal with, especially having to pretty much teach his replacement that was supposed to be Kellen Moore back in the 2020 season, leading up to Kellen Moore's last season with Dallas in 2022, that pretty much kind of spewed everything where it was like trading prisoner for prisoner. With the release of Kellen Moore, the Joneses pretty much removed most of Mike McCarthy's key staff members of that team. So it's just kind of, it was something that Mike McCarthy really had to deal with, knowing that he was going to be the head coach of the Cowboys, where it's not just about winning games, but it's also the publicity and all the stuff dealing with the Joneses, Jerry and Son. So I'm not like making that like a big thing, but I do believe that it was one of the key staff members that released that report. So I call it old news. The next news I have, training camp. We start our training camp July 26th through August 15th. I have a claim for Jerry and Son. If they sign two of the guys at the start of training camp, I'll watch that little documentary of Jerry Jones. But
they got the Dallas Cowgirls cheerleaders one up already. Just saying.
Yippee ki-yay. But if they end up signing two guys, I'm not just saying one, you got to give me at least two. I may watch a couple of episodes. But if I don't see anything, like I said, I'm not watching that thing. So that's a little gimme for if Jerry's son hears this podcast, is that sign your key guys. Like, because the fans are just on the swivel. Like, people calling other fans zombies and stuff like that, and everything just got us on the spiral. That loss to Green Bay really just killed our soul. But the last news I have, and I see this as something that will kind of at least help Dak Prescott moving forward, the Collin County judge clears all civil claims against Dak Prescott after months-long SA legal battle. And for that was basically the sexual assault case that occurred on him. So basically, all the civil claims and stuff, the case was dropped and dismissed.
All right. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, just to let you guys know, Commanders training camp starts July 28th and goes through August 6th. So
I maybe have access to training camp tickets if you want to go, Lucas.
I will definitely keep that in mind, but I know that I'm going to be on vacation for half of that, and the other half, actually, I might be able to go. Hang on, do they have any dates before? Nope, the first two dates. I might be able to go on the 30th. I don't think I work that day. We'll talk after the pod. But anyway, so with that being said,
it's time for the mailbag.
Yes, sir.
Mailbag time.
Yes, and this week's mailbag is brought to us by the Dallas Cowboys.
Word.
All right, so I have a couple questions. I'm going to kind of lump these two questions into one. How many receivers and safeties and tight ends will make the Dallas Cowboys 53-man roster?
Okay. I'll start off with the wide receivers. I would say, well, CeeDee Lamb's a lock. We've got Brandon Cooks. That third receiver is between either Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks. I feel like one of those guys are going to be the odd man out. I'm going to say it's Jalen Tolbert because I can see Lamb and Cooks taking the top two spots. 3, I'm going to put Jalen Brooks. 4, Kevontae Turpin. And number 5 is Ryan Flournoy, the rookie. For the tight ends, there's going to be an odd man out. I'm going to say it's Peyton Hendershot. But as line, have Jake Ferguson at 1, Luke Schoonmaker at 2. This man's just got to stay healthy to at least have the production. Then you got John Stevens and Brevin Spanford. So it's going to be 4. So I have receivers 5, tight ends 4. If they have 6, it's a disservice for it. And the safety room, I think this one's going to be like a low key, very underrated safety room because it's interchangeable pieces. I'm going to start out by saying Malik Hooker, Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell, and I'm going to go after undrafted rookie Julius Woods. So that would be 4 safeties and having Donovan Wilson being the odd man out.
Okay. And our second question is Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer the answer to the Dallas Cowboys to get over the hump this season?
I really feel like this might be Mike McCarthy's last season.
Yeah.
I do believe with everything on how he's fed up. I recently saw that he hired himself an agent. So I believe there'll definitely be some suitors looking for a coach. He's going to tip his hat in it because I think he really fully understands what the Joneses are doing. And with his progression,
flaming out, you think? The organization's flaming out?
It's just the execution on how things are rolling. Like, I really feel like during this time in Dallas, he basically had to deal with having Dan Quinn's name trying to take his job. Like, basically, Mike McCarthy, he just wants to have the assurance on what he was able to do. Like, he took a team that wasn't in the right direction where they had Jason Garrett there for 10 years. It was just straight mediocrity. And basically trying to turn the team around to be its best in times where the Joneses just consider stuff to be funny. I give Mike McCarthy credit. His record is 42-25 in the 4 seasons. He's doing the best that he can. I think if he's been basically coaching handcuffed. So I don't know. Maybe this season they're able to finally get over that hump, but I just got to see it in real time. And Mike Zimmer, I really feel like this might be his last time being the defensive coordinator with Dallas, but just the determination factor, this team is basically their mentality is built around the head coach. So however the head coach is, their image and mentality is the biggest problem to them fully getting the best of their ability. And I think Mike Zimmer can definitely cleanse that to be able to get them in the right direction. I'm not saying that Zimmer's going to be the next head coach, but if they were to move on from McCarthy, I think Mike Zimmer might have his name in the hat for that. But I believe they can fight their demons, but this is a bigger demon that they're gonna have to tap in the Holy Spirit with this because I really see the Joneses kind of like removing things, especially with the salary cap and kind of low key tanking a bit. But only time will tell with that.
Tanking? You really
Like
think that?
like low key tanking. I really feel like
Low key tanking, not high key, but low key.
Yep. Like you don't see it now unless you're like
Hmm.
fully under and looking at stuff. So I'm gonna pay close attention to training camp and just to see how things gear up for week 1, where they have 3 of their key players not even signed yet. They have no experienced defensive tackles to be able to help plug the middle to stop the run. And then on top of that, the running back room, they had 2 quality running backs before moving off from one, then moving off from another, then to bring back one where there's just situation with money is just out of whack to the point that it could easily been resolved where you could have had Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard on the field at the same time under a decent contract. But that's another story. But with just some of the moves I see, maybe, just maybe, see how preseason go, they might make a move. But to be able to remove Jonathan Hankins, to let Dante Fowler go, let Dorrance Armstrong go, let Tyler Biotis go, let Pollard go, it was just kind of disservice on how they wanted to fully run the team. And even though I may bash those guys, they still were like a key part on how well the team played. But being able to consider them progress stoppers to the main team, I'm looking at a team that's going to have second year guys to third year guys and rookies. So yeah, they might be. I'm not saying it's like confirmed that they're low key tanking, but just some of the moves, it just kind of sense and feel like low key tanking. Just got to see when they hit the field. I digress.
All right, then. With that, Earl, it's back to you.
It's back to me. It's that time.
Yep.
Who's that football player? Danny. This football player played on the Philadelphia Eagles. Back in the 2013 season, he had 3 interceptions, 25 yards, 4 pass deflections, 2 forced fumbles,
Brian Dawkins.
4 fumble recoveries, 6 yards, 4 sacks, 106 total tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 8 QB hits. Career awards, 1-time Super Bowl champion. Guys, who's that football player?
Any guesses?
Brian Dawkins.
I'm not allowed to answer this.
The Eagles never won a Super Bowl with Brian Dawkins.
Nope.
And
Yeah.
it's not Malcolm Jenkins. He won 2 Super Bowls.
I'm not allowed to answer this.
That's
Maurice,
what
you know
got
who
me.
it is?
That was the Super Bowl part got me. Now, when we ask these questions, I'm speaking for myself. I hold myself to some integrity, so I don't cheat and go on Google. So I'm actually just going to just guess this because the Super Bowl part got me. So a defensive player that was on the 2013 team, but was also on the Super Bowl team in 2017-18. It really comes down to, because it's like 5 players: Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Michael Kendricks, Vinnie Curry, and it's one more person I'm forgetting. Malcolm Jenkins was on there. It's not Fletcher Cox or Brandon Graham. They would have more sacks than that. So it's either Michael Kendricks or Vinnie Curry by process of elimination.
I know you got it.
It's probably Kendricks.
You're right. Michael
Okay.
Kendricks.
Okay.
That was a good one, Earl. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I had to think about that one.
Yeah. Crack the cranium and fertilize the brain.
What? Crack though.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Michael Kendricks is the who's that football player for this week. I picked him because I've really just been in the mindset of linebacker. That's my favorite position. I played it and just love the linebacker position. I think Michael Kendricks did a great job, especially on the Eagles, being able to play that position. I'm not sure if he was a green dot guy, but I think Maurice, did he play more in the middle or was he Will or Sam?
He played more in the middle.
Okay, so he was the green dot guy. Yeah, I think he was definitely he was one of those linebackers that was undersized, but he played bigger than what his body was, and I give credit to him. Salute. He's football. Tongue tied. Sorry. He's that. Who's that football player for this week?
Fair enough. Mal, let's go to the polls, which actually we have quite a few polls this past week.
Yeah, so let's get into it real quick. So first poll question was, who is the better NFC East QB entering this upcoming season? question was Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts. 60% voted Dak Prescott over Jalen Hurts.
And was that Twitter or Facebook?
That was both.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so both agree that Dak is better than Jalen this season, but we'll see what happens. Now, let's go into our Cowboys question. Who should be the highest paid player on the Cowboys after these 3 extensions are done? Dak, CD, or Micah? Both Facebook and Twitter agreed it was Dak.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, it's
Okay.
quarterback.
Yeah. Quarterback is obviously the higher position there, so there's that. Now, we had an Eagles question. Will the Philadelphia Eagles O-line still be a top 5 unit in the NFL this upcoming season? Most said no. And I think that has to do with Jason Kelce leaving, which
That's wild. It's very
yeah, I know. I don't
interesting.
agree with
Anybody
that.
know who the coach is? The offensive line coach for the Eagles?
I think it's the
Just
same,
Stoutland?
right?
Stoutland?
Yes. He's one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely knows what he's doing.
He's one of the best.
I just think people just don't know, are unfamiliar with Cam Jurgens, who was replacing Jason Kelce. So
Or Stoutland.
Or Stoutland. Yeah, he's one of the best. So he's been there for a while too. I mean, he's coached a lot
The
of
one
great.
thing that I talked about when we were talking about Giants is the one thing you guys have been doing is drafting
Building the trenches.
developing, and that's just Stoutland at every turn.
Jordan Mailata was a 7th round pick. He's one of the best left tackles in football. You got to give it to Stoutland for that one, and Howie for drafting him, but Stoutland for developing him.
Oh yeah.
That's what it's all about, Maurice. The GM to be able to find talent, and the coach to be able to develop them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's not a apples for apples where that player would go somewhere else and do the same thing. It's right spot, right time, right coach.
For sure. And let's get into our Giants question, guys. Should Tommy DeVito be given another chance to show he can become the full starter for the New York Giants? This was very...
He's trash.
Yeah, and listen, this was very divided. It wound up being yes, but only 38% to 37%.
You got to look at
Really?
the of when he played and
So
then how
that's
interesting around him.
38% said yes, 37% said no, and 25% said only if injuries occur.
This is my issue with the fans that said yes. You got to look at what happened around him during that time. The offensive line play was significantly better. He was playing bottom 3 defenses, and we were leading the NFL in turnovers. So there was not one time when he had to drive all the way down the field and score a touchdown. He never did that. He always drove down on short fields.
But another offseason, another year to improve. I mean, he did win you guys 3 games. 3 wins is 3 wins.
This guy's gonna come out of nowhere as a practice squad quarterback, and
I mean, it's not unheard of. It's happened. I'm sure
Dable can develop him. No problem.
I mean, look. I mean, if you got Daniel Jones to have 1 good year, I mean, anything's possible. But
Daniel Jones had 2 good years. His rookie year.
Debatable.
He threw 25 touchdowns in 13 games.
Did you guys win that many games, though?
That doesn't matter. We're just talking about
quarterback record does matter when it comes to
quarterback record. Come on, man.
Yeah, it does.
The record is football is a team sport. Like,
yeah, but the quarterback's the most important player.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
See, okay. So if let's just say, for example,
how many games is Zach Wilson won?
I mean, like, okay, but let's re-question this. You know, Tampa Bay had a few good seasons with Jameis Winston. Does that make Jameis Winston a good quarter? I mean, Jameis Winston had a good few statistical years. Does that make him a good quarterback, despite the Tampa Bay Buccaneers never really winning?
He goes multiple destinations that has good statistical years.
He
throws touchdowns, he throws interceptions.
But
it doesn't, like, looking at his total record, that's not a reflection of just him. I mean,
no, but it does factor. It factors into it, though.
You can't take out quarterback and say their record is completely dependent on them, because it's winning as a team.
No, I'm not. I never said that. I said it's a factor. I'm not saying it's the only factor.
It's a ridiculous factor, though.
Agree, Earl. Thank
Just
you.
Overall, I'm just
I mean,
speaking
because
overall.
look. Okay, how many interceptions did he have that year? How many sacks did he get? Like, what was his QBR?
Jameis Winston or Daniel Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Let's look it up. Hold on.
I'll pull it up here on my end.
Daniel Jones 2018. That'd be 2019. Okay, 87.7 passer rating, threw for 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He only played 13 games. Let's see. And then what was the other? He was sacked 38 times. Jesus Christ, that's bad.
Yeah, that line.
Yeah,
that-
okay,
that
there we
line
go.
That line was bad. Whew.
So you're going off of his rookie year. He had
Again, 24
3-9
touchdowns in 13 games, 12 interceptions in 13 games.
Okay, so why hasn't he been able to get close back to that since 2019?
Look at the inconsistency with the coaching. He's had 3 different offensive coordinators. He's had 3 different head coaches.
I think overall it's a mixture of all. I mean, both you guys could be right. Both you guys could be wrong. But my point I'm trying to make is football is a team sport. And you can't, no one singular, specifically in football, no singular person can win you multiple games. They can win you one game, but they can't win you multiple games. And they can't lose you multiple games. When it comes down to a quarterback, Daniel Jones, I think we all agree that the Giants' offensive line was terrible. I think we all agree on that. One of the worst in the league.
Consistently there. A terrible offensive line for 6 years.
Yeah.
5 years.
But on the flip side of that, Daniel Jones himself, he's kind of up and down. And, when we first started this podcast, Lucas made the statement that Daniel Jones had a fluke year. Now,
He said it was an asterisk.
Yeah.
I still stand by that.
Yeah, and for the most part,
I think the one
right.
thing that you can say, and not just Daniel Jones, looking at the situation of the team of the Giants since 2019, no quarterback is going to be able to overcome that offensive line. You'd be saying the same thing about anybody else, no matter how talented they are.
True.
That year was
That's how
Eli's
bad
last year. Did Eli get injured? Is that why he didn't play the rest of that season?
I had this conversation on Twitter Spaces earlier this morning about Eli, where we were talking about Eli and Mahomes, and you always remember a quarterback for the back half of his career, not the front half.
No. I'm asking for that last season, Daniel Jones' rookie year, the one that we're referring to here.
No, Daniel Jones played his entire.
No, he played 13 games. Eli played 4, and Alex Taney played 1 game. Didn't start though.
Did he get injured though?
That's what I'm asking. I'm asking you. I don't know.
I think he got injured.
Okay.
He got injured like week 15, I think.
So Jones wasn't.
Eli only played like 1 game, bro, and then
he started 4 games, but yeah, I got the stats right here, but yeah, no, it looks like I'm trying to see who else was on the team here.
So 13-4 makes sense because that's 17 total games.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, Golden Tate. I remember Golden Tate. He was fun.
That was literally his best receiving core until this year. Golden Tate, Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, a younger Sterling Shepard that couldn't stay healthy, and Darius Slayton with Saquon Barkley, and a god-awful offensive line.
Yeah, Darius Slayton was your high receiver with 740 yards. Golden Tate had 676. Sterling Shepard had 576. Evan Ingram had 467, and Saquon had 438. Also, want to shout out to Sterling Shepard because he got signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, he deserved it.
Yeah, apparently him and Baker Mayfield have some history. That's how that happened.
I'll be seeing him on my birthday when I go to the Ravens Bucks game. I'm excited.
There you go. Enjoy Tampa Bay. It's a beautiful. Yeah,
Thank you. I'm so excited. I love Tampa.
Yeah, no, you can go. You
Yeah,
can swim.
Baker and
you guys
Sterling,
can,
they went to Oklahoma together.
yeah, you can go year round swimming there. By the way, so you can go. You guys can go to the game and then go to the beach afterwards. Check out Treasure Island. That's a pretty good place.
All right.
I'm down. I will.
Let's get on out of here.
All right, yeah, let's get to the last part here, which we are going to do. Oh, wait, no, we still have.
We still got
no.
trivia.
Yeah, trivia, Giants trivia. Okay, this is a good one. This is an Eli question. So you guys should have fun with this. So back in 2013, Eli Manning set the Giants franchise record for single season interceptions. What number of interceptions did he have that season? I do want to shout out a few people that got it right, but I'll let you give you guys a minute to think about that while I'm pulling that up.
I really don't want to talk about it, but the number is 27.
Yep. I'm not going to answer that because it gets me upset.
Yeah, I'm sad too.
and that's the same time that people started talking poorly about Eli and he's declining.
That was a rough season for Eli.
The team around Eli was declining.
That was like a true Super Bowl hangover.
Let me say this.
The answer is 27. Shout out to Raymond Pashko and Rick Champman on Facebook for getting that right.
Let me say this before we get out of here. And it's coming from an Eagles fan. Y'all gotta put some respect on Eli.
I love Eli.
Eli was a great.
So does Tucker. Tucker loves Eli too.
I'm just saying that the organization failed Eli the same way they failed Daniel Jones. It's that simple.
So far. Not over so far.
The difference is C. Webb, Eli overcame and actually showed that he could win a championship.
No, Mal. Let's get it straight.
All right,
Eli had a squad around him. He had coaching around him. He had everything that a quarterback should have to be able to grow and be successful. And when those things completely went away, he could not overcome it, whether it was talent, whether it was just not having the things around him. And it's just unfortunate that the GM and the front office, Jerry Reese, could not build in the trenches for Eli and completely give him weapons or defense to win football games.
But before that said,
that's why people laugh at him for the Hall of Fame portion, because they remember the back half of his career and not the front half.
Yeah, but before that said, Eli was a talent himself.
I agree.
I don't want people to think that you're comparing Daniel Jones to a Hall of Fame quarterback.
I'm just saying the situation of the quarterback position for the Giants from 2004 all the way to 2024.
Okay.
And from 2004 to 2012, you could say it was good. After 2013, you can't say that same situation wasn't good.
All right, and on that note, we're gonna wrap things up. I forget who's closing it out tonight, guys.
Take it home, Maurice.
All right, go for it.
Before we do that, we want to thank Chris for coming on. Make sure you check him out at Giant Dad Podcast on Twitter. All right, so let's get out of here. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music.
My apologies. And also make sure if you're in the DMV area, you head to Nanny O'Brien's, your local Giants bar.
Okay. All right. Let me start that again. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. And we're on YouTube as well. Check us out on there. Subscribe. Give us a thumbs up on our videos. Make sure to check out the bloopers as well. And the whole episodes. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter or X, Instagram, and Facebook at 13_rings podcast. Until the next time, have a good day.
See ya.
Good night, y'all.
Blessings.